Hello, all you beautiful people out there. How are you doing? Welcome to the Fantasy Fiends podcast. Let me just say, I hope you had an amazing Valentine's Day, and I love you. Andy loves you. We all love you, and we are here today with Matt. I think we're going by Matt, right, Matt?
We're going by Matt.
We're going by Matt, and Matt loves you guys too. What I want to say before we start, please hit that, or please smash that like button. That helps us out tremendously. Anyway, so I'm Stevie Collier, and I'm the author of the Four Territories, the Dark Assassin series. I'm here with my co-host, Andy Peliquin, who he's nothing. He's nothing. Andy, what are you the author of now since everything is being rebranded?
Okay, so right now I'm the author of the Queen of Thieves series. That's what I'm going by.
Oh, is that what you're going by?
Yeah, I've got other stuff, but so far just the Queen of Thieves series. But then come May, you're going to have to start calling me the Queen of Thieves and Hero of Darkness. I'm expecting the proper treatment, Stevie.
I'm going to write it down or get it tattooed on me somewhere. And we are here today with Matt Presley, but if you want to look him up on Amazon, that is M.D. Presley, and he is the author of the Soul's Harvest books. And I'm telling you guys, I know I say it a lot, but go check out his freaking covers. I mean, holy crap, they're freaking awesome. They look expensive. I'm not gonna lie, which is a compliment. And on the inside, they have a map, and go look at the covers and then read the description, just like everybody else does. Beautiful covers. Super excited about today's podcast. We have a lot in store for you guys. All right, Matt, say hello. I'll shut up.
Hey, I'm Matt. MD Presley. What am I supposed to say other than hello?
Well, now you show us your nipples.
Well, nice.
Well, he's married, ladies. No, that's for yeah, so we like to break sometimes I go too far with my language. We have Andy, please take it away from me.
So this has been Stevie Ruins, an episode of the Fantasy Fiends podcast in 5 minutes or less. Today is he kind of got the intro good, but 2 minutes in and we are already way off schedule. So, Stevie, let's see how far you can take us today.
No tangents today, I swear. I'm really interested in this this topic. I never know when to introduce the topic, but it's like it's in the title, Let's see. You know what I want to bring back is interesting updates. Interesting updates, something cool fantasy that we did this week. I do not have a fantasy update per se. I'm still reading Lies of Locke Lamora, and I treat it like reading poetry because, I mean, come on, Scott Lynch, he's a modern day Shakespeare in my opinion, and it makes me not want to write anymore because he's just a wonderful writer. Andy agrees with me. He told me that was the reason why he got scared away from, right, Andy?
When I started out writing, or up until about a year ago, I would have two books that I would refer to if I wasn't sure about sentence structure and outlines and stuff. I would look at Brandon Sanderson's Words of Way of Kings, the first book, and then I would look at Scott Lynch's Lies of Locke Lamora. And I just stopped looking at Lies of Locke Lamora because I would go to the scene, where like the scene where he's in the underground, where you first introduce all the kids, and just everything about the descriptions were so brilliant. And I was like, I will never be that good, so I'm not even going to try. So Brandon Sanderson is a little bit more accessible in terms of just descriptions and stuff like that. His stories and plot lines are way too big for me. Well, but at least his general sentence structure is a little bit easier.
In my opinion, Scott is sometimes hard to understand because he does use some diction that's a little bit above my head. So I might look stupid saying that, but I mean, I know we all go past words that you're like, I have no idea what that means. I'm skipping it. Well, that happens to me a lot in the Lies of Locke Lamora. The way his settings are just, I feel like every sentence he spent a lot of time on. And as authors who are trying to make money, we can't really do that. And it's sad, but I think it's important to be a really good storyteller first anyway, in my opinion. What was I going to say? Oh, I watched Winchester yesterday, and if you don't know this about me, I get super, super, super scared during horror movies. This is the second horror movie I've ever seen in theaters, and I only said the F word twice. That's right. There were like little kids in the theater that were like more that were more behaved than I was. I mean, I was terrified. And this movie's not even that scary. So Winchester, I totally suggest it. It was really good. I gotta say it. Yeah, it's not a fantasy update, but it's something that I did interesting this week. And the Lionheart is up for pre-order, baby. That's right. My first lit RPG is up for pre-order. But enough about me. Andy, anything cool happened to you this week?
Yeah, I just released Traitor's Fate, which is the story that ties the Queen of Thieves series directly to Hero of Darkness. It sort of bridges the gap between the two series, shows how the character from Queen of Thieves is directly linked to the Hero of Darkness characters. And then a fan had this genius idea that I could write more series afterwards, where I could have the Hunter from Hero of Darkness interact, like go on missions and stuff with some of the characters from the Night Guild. And now all of a sudden I have to think about, okay, do I want to do another series after all of this? So it's just like more books to write in this world. It's awesome, but it's just one more series to steal my time.
Yeah, I understand that. I already have a third trilogy in my head brewing, and it's killing me not to get started on it. Matt, and your book's already doing pretty well, I see, on Amazon. That's awesome, man. So go check that out, everybody. Matt, anything cool, fantastical, anything like that happened to you this week?
We launched our self-published fantasy guild. That was pretty cool.
You launched you launched what?
Yeah. We have a fantasy guild, Sigil Independent, that it's fantasy self-publishers, and we've got some. Everyone was at least a semi-finalist in the SmithBow. So if you want to go to sigilindependent.com, I don't know if that's what you're looking up right now, but we have some really, really good authors in there, and they don't know that I somehow snuck in, and they haven't kicked me out yet. So that's a good thing.
God, I know most of them.
You've got ML Spencer and Phil Tucker and Rob Hayes. Wow, this is quite a
and
Mike McClung. Let's not, he won the first year, and then Ben Galley came in second.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Who won first?
Michael McClung. He's a fellow Texan as well, by the way.
Oh, are you a Texan?
Texan brothers. Woo.
Awesome. That's so cool. We had a Tennessee guy on the other day, and he was awesome too. His accent, I knew instantly. Wait, no, he was no. We had a lady who was from Tennessee. But
you got her accent right, but her gender wrong. Shame on you.
You're gonna get me in trouble. Now I don't want her on because she's gonna kick my butt. She's gonna reach through the computer and hurt me. Andy, so I'm actually bringing us back on track with the outline that we started on almost a year ago, which is coming up, by the way. I expect a present and a cake. And you have to send it from Mexico. So when I get it, never mind.
I will fax you a cake, Steven.
Yeah, fax me a cake, which is just gonna be your butt cheeks, isn't it?
Why spoil the surprise?
That was a really girly laugh I just made. What was I gonna say? Oh, do we have a word of the day before we go on?
I do not actually. Do you have one?
I do not. I was actually at the gas station. Apparently, Texaco has a word of the day, and I wrote it down on my phone, but for some reason it got deleted. So I guess we'll just skip the word of the day today. But that is cool.
I got a good one if you want one.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead.
Calpigian.
Oh, nice.
Thank you.
What is that?
It is a technical term for a woman with shapely buttocks.
What?
having a nice ass.
Yes. Calpigian.
I don't want to know why y'all know that.
High school.
What? Why would we even?
Yeah.
It's from a statue of Venus, Aphrodite.
Ew. Yeah. Ew. Yeah, I knew that. Totally. Yeah. Totally.
Here's another good word. A good word that applies to our topic today: dichotomy.
Okay. Yeah.
It means a division or contrast between two things that are represented as being opposed or entirely different. As an example, part of the Myers-Briggs personality test is people are either intuitive, they're introverted or extroverted. These two things, they are a dichotomy. They're the opposite.
That's some good transition right there.
Yeah,
I
it's
know.
from
I was on the Wikipedia page and I saw the word dichotomies, and I was like, "Sweet, that's a good one."
Does anybody else is like anyone else just use thesaurus.com like every single day?
Yep.
God, I have it up on my computer.
I have it open while I write, but I often find myself using it to come up with like names.
Yes,
as opposed
same
to,
here.
Like when I was coming up with the name of my demon hunters, I googled the word demon and came up with cambion, which is one of the different ways of describing demons or a type of demon, and hence the cambionari. Like it's just handy for that kind of stuff.
Cambion is actually the title of my story that I write on Whatpad, which is where I'm 22 chapters in right now.
For those of us who are listening, Stevie meant to say Wattpad, not Whatpad.
Is it Whatpad?
Yeah, like
that's
a
annoying.
light bulb watts. I know.
Oh. Okay. I thought, but see, I listened. Joanna Penn. I think she pronounces it Whatpad. Maybe that's why I'm saying it that way.
British?
Yes. God dang it.
She's a Brit, right?
Yeah. Do they say what instead of what?
I don't know how she pronounces it, but it's very likely that her accent makes that A sound slightly different. But
I could be wrong. I could just be dumb and just be saying Whatpad. Either way, I'm also on Royal Roads Legends, and those guys are brutal sometimes, man. That's a brutal place to get feedback, but it's welcomed. Anyway, so today we are talking about I was about to say something nasty. I'll just go straight to it. We're talking about personality types, which is perfect because not last week but the week before we talked about Andy, what was that word? You turned out to be this. Remember how you explained to the whole world that you really like aggressive sexual interaction or whatever?
I distinctly do not remember that conversation. No, we were talking about sadists.
Sadists, that's right, sadists.
But you see, sadism is different than sexual sadism.
I know, but I still wanted to embarrass you, or at least try to, but just end up embarrassing myself. Anyway, anytime I see that word now, by the way, I like picture you in my head. So now today we're talking about personality types, and we are so lucky to have somebody who would know a lot about personality types because he is a psych major. You said
psych major 20 years ago, so it's been a few years since then.
You look like you're 29. I don't understand.
Well, the big 4-0 is coming up next month, so
no way.
Yeah, but thank you.
You're welcome. You look a lot younger than that, and then
No, I stopped being carded, so that was nice.
Yeah, I got carded yesterday. I never got carded with the beard, actually, so I'm thinking about growing that back. And you said you're watching one of our episodes where I discussed my personality type?
It was empathy or one right after that. I don't remember. It was a couple months back.
I got you. Yeah. To say it, I'm really into, and so I never say it right. So what book are we discussing today, Matt?
Why did you just deviate? We were talking about personality types, Stevie. Go back to that.
Well, we're talking about, I thought we're like gathered around this book. Like the book is the big thing today. Or are we just talking about personality types?
Well, we can start off with personality types and then bring in the characters.
Oh, okay. Well, you know what? I was actually thinking, shouldn't we have Matt discuss his books first? I feel like we just have him on as like some psychology guy and he's not an author. So...
Well, I'm not really good at that. Being as an introvert, which we'll get into, it's just not my thing to talk about myself. So it's like, hey, tell us about, like, in interviews, that's the worst question. Like, so tell us about, like, do I include everything? Do I include my childhood? You know, so I didn't rise to the occasion at all. So, but I'll take over now real quick.
Okay.
Hey, I'm Matt Presley. I go by MD Presley online. I am a screenwriter living out in the LA area and still work in the industry, but I've got a show coming out in China. My shows come out in China for some reason on web series. So I've got one coming out in March, supposedly. and we'll see how that goes. But and I work in the industry. I still we do coverage for screenplays, and I manage the readers for that. So I do basically edit 60 pages of screenplay notes a day. So that's my part-time job. So yes, and I am the author of some grimdark flintlock fantasy novels that are kind of a fantasy reimagining of the American Civil War. The first one got a semifinalist in this year's SPIFBO. That's Mark Lawrence's Are Not in the Know, Now You Are. And got beat out by one of the other finalists who is in my guild, so that worked out well. If I could sell it, at least it was still somewhat self-serving for me on that, not self-serving. But anyways, so Flintlock Fantasy, American Civil War, it's not your average Europe. So yeah.
Andy, is he breaking up for you?
Yeah, I think his connection.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, Matt, that whole thing, that whole spiel, man, it's gone.
Oh, the internet has swallowed something else. Oh, lovely.
Yes, but now we can hear you just fine. It just cut out perfectly right when you were discussing your book.
Oh,
yeah.
Irony.
Yes.
Well, all right. Nutshell: Flintlock Fantasy, American Civil War reimagining. Go buy it because it's amazing. Female protagonist.
I saw that, and there's not a whole lot out there except for one person I know, Andy. So I think you have to be a very talented author to. Is this your first book?
Yeah, that one was
awesome. That is so cool that your first book is actually with the protagonist of the opposite sex.
Yeah.
How do you?
Sorry, go on.
I was just going to ask you. Do you think it was difficult doing that?
Yeah, it's like writing. I think Hugh Laurie, when he was in House, he's British, and they were like, "How do you do the British or the American accent?" And he's like, "Well, it's like playing tennis with the opposite hand using a fish." And it's like, yeah, that's kind of what it is. You're like, "Oh, my reaction is this. Oh, wait, what would hers be?" But I spend a lot of time getting inside the character's head ahead of time, and I mean, that's as writers, we're supposed to be imagining universal ideas and stuff and finding particular ways to get it across. So, gender's just a part of that. So if you can't write from the opposite gender, then that's, something you probably should work on.
Yes, I totally agree. So now we can go back to personality traits, right, Andy?
Now that Stevie's taken us off on a tangent, so
this was not a tangent.
Yes, you went one way and then went the other. Okay, so Matt suggested this idea, which I love because the Myers-Briggs personality test.
It's Myers-Briggs.
Yeah, I keep getting that backwards.
That's all right.
It's a really interesting personality test, and it basically gives you 16 different personality types. And I found that most people do fall into them. My wife insists that the personality type that she was categorized as when she did the test twice is not hers. And of course, I'm too smart to correct her. So, but I see a lot of things about, her traits. And when I did the test, I found it was spot on in everything except for the fact that it said that I shouldn't be a writer, like I shouldn't be doing creative stuff. And that was pretty much the only thing that it was wrong about. But everything else was super accurate. And it really helped me to understand myself a lot better. And things that I didn't really know how to put in words, like one site that I found that does it, it sort of, it gives you an introduction of the personality types, the strengths and weaknesses, romantic relationships, friendships, parenthood, career paths, and workplace habits. These are all different things they're very general, but they have a lot of really useful information for each personality type. And I found it really helpful for me.
Fan myself, so I guess I'll pick up from there. Like it's Myers-Briggs personality, not personality, Myers-Briggs Type Indicator, by the way. It makes it sound much more scientific, and it's actually got its origins actually go back to Carl Jung. If anyone else is in psychology who was a student of Freud originally, so it's from the beginning of psychology. It's got its roots. Jung came up with 3 dichotomies, and we'll get into those in a second. And he was like, oh, this is how people interact with the world. And then, you know, he had his theories, I think 30s. I forgot her name, but her last name was Myers, and her mother's last name was Briggs. And they started working on what became the Myers-Briggs, and they added a 4th component, which is the judgment and perception, in case anyone wonders. So that's the basic history of it. It is kind of interesting, though, that it came from Jung, who's another of his students was Joseph Campbell, who made the Hero with 1,000 Faces. So it is still somewhat tied into writing. Jung said it. Jung has had a big effect on psychology of writing in certain extents, you know, of the archetypes and all that kind of thing. So it's got a literary background, the Myers-Briggs, in a tangential sort of way. Just break into it, or I don't know.
Well, I just wanted to add that I think anything that if you take too far can be dangerous. Like Andy said, his says that he's not a creator. Well, I actually strongly believe that if you want to be successful in life, you will be a creator no matter what you're doing. So I think being creative is something that we all have attachments to, and that's I spent a lot of time working on myself, and I've come to realize that you have to be goal driven and you have to create in life. You can't just go flatline. So when it said Andy couldn't be a writer, I think that would be stupid if Andy's like, oh, I can't be a writer anymore. Nope, it says it right here in the book. But I think a lot of people will take this test and say, you know, it and go too far. Like, I'm not going to say what my personality type is just yet, because apparently Matt wants to try and guess. But it told me that I probably won't make friends with this, this, and this, and this. Well, one of those was my girlfriend. And we're actually not together anymore. But it wasn't because of that. It wasn't. It's just bizarre that that's the way that happened. But one of my best friends is apparently the one I would get along with the most, and that freaked me out. But am I saying what I'm trying to say is coming back from my tangent? Dang it, I've already lost it. I think if it says, you know, hey, don't hang around with these people who are these personality types, and you actually listen to it, I think you've gone too far with the research. I think it's for fun, and it can actually help you if you let it. You know what I mean? Like, you can actually let it help you if you.
Yeah, it's the just don't get pigeonholed by it. I mean, you know, we've been breaking people down into categories from the dawn of time. I mean, like, you know, oh, you're an Aries, that means you're this. You're a Taurus, that you're this. Like, that's random. It's you were born in the year of the such and such. That means this is your personality. You know, that's, you know, we do that naturally. We try to categorize people, but, you know, it shouldn't be a pigeonholing type of thing, you know, because I'm an introvert and like, I don't mind public speaking. I don't mind being around people. I have a lot of friends, you know, it's just that's, you know, because you do one doesn't mean you can't do the other in the dichotomy. And it's actually, it's a continuum, which we'll get to in just a second. So don't be pigeonholed by it. Don't slavishly believe whenever someone tells you that you're this. Take what you can from it and ignore the parts that aren't useful to you.
Well, I have a question for you. Unless, Andy, you open your mouth. Did you have something to say?
Well, I was going to say that I remember in one of our episodes, we had Joshua Robertson talking about how he actually changed his personality type. Mm-hmm. And that was
to that one.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, that was a really fun episode.
Yeah, I remember he had, what was it, the 12, whatever, lies you tell yourself or something.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But one of those I thought was so interesting because it was that, you know, there's this defining moment in your life and that's what made you the way that you are. And, you know, yeah, that's not true, but it's perfect for storytelling. I mean, every movie begins with, you know, Conan at the beginning, you know, his mother was killed and that's why he's the savage that he is, you know. It may not be true and maybe we shouldn't live by it, but sure makes for great narratives.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, crap. Now I can't remember what I was gonna. Matt, you might not be prepared for this question, but how do you think using Myers-Briggs can help you to become a stronger person? Is it possible, or is it just for fun?
I mean, It is just for fun. I mean, it should just be treated as for fun. And if you can get something out of it, playing basketball is just for fun. If you can find some way to better your life out of it, then my God, use that. But I think insight is always a good thing. And especially, know yourself.
Yeah. I would say that like doing research into my Asperger's syndrome, it showed me a lot of ways where, what were you saying, Matt?
You broke up, Matt, so Andy just kind of...
Oh, that's all right. Go on.
Okay.
Anyway, so doing research into my Asperger's syndrome showed me a lot of ways in which I was limited by my atypical brain. But if I say, okay, well, I'm done, I can't, then yeah, it's like being pigeonholed. But then by saying, okay, I have these limitations, okay, let's push them. Let's find ways to overcome the limitations. The same way with these personality, type indicators, the tests. When you find out that you are a diplomat type person, for example, and you have these certain strengths, but then you also have these certain weaknesses, it's super good because then you say, okay, this is something that I'm good at, and here's something I suck at. So let's use these strengths to work on my weaknesses, and let's not, be held back by the weaknesses, but let's change them, and maybe like Joshua did, change your personality type completely, or you just develop strengths where you once sucked at something before. And by doing so, by using these personality tests, it helps you to understand yourself better, like you were saying. And as you understand yourself, then you can take those steps to correct your flaws and your deficits, accepting that they're part of who you are. It's not a bad thing to fail or to be human or to have weaknesses, but recognizing that they are exactly that and then taking steps to correct them. That's what makes you a better person, from one year to the next, not from one day to the next. One of my favorite quotes of all time was from the movie Kingsman. And I don't remember who said it, but it says, superiority, it's not about being better than other people, it's about being better than yourself.
I think it was quoting Hemingway.
It was maybe, I don't know if it was Hemingway. It was someone. I'll look it up when it's done, when the podcast's over, and I'll remember. But it's such a great quote because it really puts things into perspective. To be better isn't about being a better writer, a better parent, a better breadwinner, a better driver, a better son, a better whatever. It's not about being better than someone else. It's about seeing what you are doing today, what you're sucking at, and trying to be better at it tomorrow. And that's one thing that I really liked about the personality test, especially this one, is that it helped me find the areas that I sucked at so that I could be better at them tomorrow than I am today.
So, Matt, you said you were going to try and guess us. So I just realized now that you're actually watching some of the older podcasts. Do you feel like you have a guess now, or are you going to wait till the end?
I might have written down on cue cards what I think they are for a great reveal at the end, but we'll see if they work out.
Okay, because if we do reveal them, we could talk about if you want to wait till the end, that's fine. But I was just gonna talk about what I've learned as being what I am.
If you'd like to, but do you want to get into what the axes are?
Yeah, that's much better. Let's do that.
Okay, so basically, it breaks down into 4 axes. Anyways, and as Andy said, it is a dichotomy. It goes from one extreme to the other, but it's a continuum. So it's where you are on the continuum. So you could be extrovert, but you could be 1 extrovert, or 10 extrovert, and we're just making up numbers right there. And also, because you do one doesn't mean you can't do the other. One of them is thinking versus feeling. They're opposite dichotomous, if you will, but that doesn't mean you can't do the other. It's that you prefer to do the other one. I keep saying the other. I think of it as of burgers versus like a chicken sandwich. I'm gonna go every time I go to the fast food place. I have a choice between the two. And one is not better than the other. I just prefer one to the other. And because I normally get the burger, doesn't mean I can't get a chicken sandwich. So just one way to think of it.
It's sort of like a sliding scale. You've got these extremes, these 2 opposites. But then, like you were saying, you could be 51% extrovert and 49% introvert. But because of this, the slight preference for extroversion, you fall on the extroverted side of the scale, but you've still got plenty of the other traits. So that like these letters that are assigned, they're not limiting. They don't define. It's just more accurately what you prefer to do.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. And it's just what you based on and it's based on self-report. So if you don't know yourself very well and you go, oh yeah, I definitely do this, and you're not right, then yeah, you're going to get a wrong answer too. So, and without further ado, let's just dive into them, because obviously we want to get to the reveal at the end. So the first one is introvert versus extrovert, and I think those words have percolated into everyone knows what those mean for the most part these days. Introvert, someone who is quiet, not quieter, but prefers to be alone. Extrovert prefers to be around other people. There's a different personality test that I really like how it put it. It's like how you want to recharge. If you need to get away from everyone and just have some time to putter by yourself, you're probably an introvert. If you like, hey, let's go to a party and see all my friends and that'll make me feel better, that's an extrovert. And doesn't mean that extroverts can't be alone or introverts don't want to be at a party, but that is what they prefer. I've seen another one that said that is conversational styles. Extroverts, for the most part, are always looking for their similarity. It's like, oh, I'm like you, and so it's kind of just looking for how I'm like you. Like, you have a cat, I have a cat. Oh, you like muffins? Awesome. Let's bond about that. While the introvert goes into the conversation expecting to be different and is kind of interviewing to find where that difference is. So it's like, so what do you prefer cats or dogs? And it's not looking for like, oh, you prefer dogs. Well, obviously I'm a cat person. So, that's kind of the way they go into conversational styles, according to one report. So that's the first one, introvert versus extrovert. Most people have a pretty good gauge of which one they are. The second one is a little harder to define. It's sensory versus intuitive. Intuitive is represented by an N for some reason, instead, I guess because the I in introvert. So intuitive is N, and those are people who prefer kind of the world of ideas, versus sensory, which is more hands-on experiencing of the world. Again, it's not that you can't do the other one, but for me, I'm a very strong intuitive. They deal a lot with like the theories and seeing the big pattern. And so like in math class, they're like, all right, here's the equation we're learning today, and now we have to do homework. I'm like, why? I read the equation. I get it, but it's built, a lot of math is built for sensory of like, you do the problem, it clicks. Like after doing it 6 or 7 times, from that, you figure out, and then you suss the rule from examples opposed to, just seeing the rule, or the math problem. Intuitives and introverts are both about 25% of the population each. So most of the majority are extroverts, and which is why a lot of businesses and stuff are set up like, oh, let's have a big communal area to work in. You're like, oh, that is the worst thing I can possibly imagine as an introvert. Like, I am in my office with my door closed and my earphones on, so I don't have to hear anyone else,
Yep.
So
I get that.
And I write in public at cafes every single day.
I can't imagine doing that.
I can't stay at home and write alone. That would drive me nuts.
I have a friend, and that was the only time that I've ever understood going to cafes, and is that you have people watching you, and so you have to produce something because there are people watching and judging you right then.
That is a really interesting, you know what? I've never thought about it that way, but that might be it. Also, I like to people watch too,
Yeah.
By that, I mean stare at people with wide eyes.
Next on the list is thinking versus feeling. And that's not as in, oh, you're smart or emotional. It's just how you make your decisions. And, thinking people like to, go by, well, I checked this off, I looked at it, I examined it, not as emotional. Feeling individuals go by their emotion. And if they're intuitive and feeling, then it's like, it's empathy, very strong emotional core kind of thing. And then we get to our final one, which is the one that Briggs and Myers added, and that is how you kind of make your decisions, how you take in your information. So it's either judging or perception, and it's, I don't know how to, like, it's, are you trying to make your decision or are you trying to put off your decision? A lot of times it comes to that. Perceptive people will, put off the decision to the very last moment because they like to keep their options open. And judging, like, nope, this is what it is, and it should be this, and let's decide that from the very beginning. Ps are often considered more the creative type, but it doesn't mean they can't be creative. I mean, Js can't be creative, but it is, especially with an S and a P, usually considered rather creative by the Please Understand Me, especially.
What's interesting, I'm on one page, and it says that people with the judging type lifestyle, they like to have things settled. Like, they like to say, okay, this is done. It's organized, so I don't have to worry about it later.
Yeah. I mean, it's my wife is that way. I am not that way, and it is fun to butt heads about it all the time. So yeah.
Oh,
so I guess sorry, go on.
I'm sorry, go ahead. Oh, I didn't know you're going to continue. I was going to see if you wanted to reveal what you found.
So anyway, so there are permutations out of those two categories, that makes 16 combinations that are distinct. Sometimes, like, that Please Understand Me breaks them into, like, if you're an S or an N, that, there's other things. Read about it if you want. I find it very interesting, but, it makes these permutations, and some of them say incredibly interesting things, like, what was it? The ISFP, I think it was. Like, I remember reading the first version of the book, and it was, I only know all my friends are N's. It's kind of weird. Every single friend I have is intuitive except for one. And when I was reading the book, like, oh, I gotta understand him. Like, he's the only one who's different. And it said in there that they're artisans, and, like, if they were back in time, they would be gunslingers. And, like, holy crap, my friend makes swords. Like, it was just such a weird detail for them to pick. And you're like, yeah, of course, he makes swords. And, it was kind of cool. So each of those personality types is fun to read about because, it's a different archetype almost of, like, this is a starting point for people, and maybe you can understand your friend better, but I use it more for writing, as in, this is a starting point, this is a skeleton for a character. And I find it very useful. Other interesting things that some of them note, like INTJs, female INTJs prefer men that are smarter than they are. And you're like, okay, that's interesting. That obviously doesn't have to happen all the time, but it is something, a pattern that has, come out after a while. So I very much like the Myers-Briggs, and to the point that I actually take it as my characters. So it is, also a like a starting point skeleton for them, but I spend a lot of time building my characters, to get their backstories. I write up a Bible, their entire backstory, things about them, personality traits, And when it's all over, to get into their headspace, I take the online Myers-Briggs as the character. And that forces me to look at situations and, like, okay, in this question, how would this character do this? Would the character be the center of the party, or would they be in the corner? Like, all right. So it's a good checklist and a good way to get into the character's headspace. And then it pops out a nice little, like, your character, they are an INFP. You're like, oh, well, now I know what, it's a fun way to do characterization, and I highly recommend it.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, because there's so much information available about these personality tests, or these personality types, sorry. If you think of a character that you want to write, a lot of it, you can find a lot of these websites and books that have actual titles. You've got diplomats, you've got, let me see, I can find a few examples of them. Just different personality type descriptions. So it's almost like people are, they're better at certain jobs, and not that it's not limited to it, but it sort of gives an understanding. There's architects and debaters and campaigners and advocates and defenders and things like that. And just these things, they can sort of help you understand, okay, so I want to write a character who is a king. So what kind of king is he going to be? He's going to be a smart king. Maybe he'll be a king who's intelligent. So let's make him a debater. Or a logician or something. You know, like you can sort of craft your characters based off of these different personality types just by looking at them from these titles, and then delving into them a little bit deeper to see if they fit the the mold that you want to give your character.
Right, and obviously we don't. It's like structure, like in a novel, like this is the part where the hero refuses the journey. Yes, it's all in there, but if you just slavishly follow it without adding your touches to it, it's something good to know. But if you follow it slavishly, then you're just boring all of us, because it's obviously something we've seen. Because there's, we've already noticed the patterns so much. So don't just give us the patterns; give us your version of it.
Well, man, I was gonna say, I really just want to go retake the test, or actually. I want to read. Before we started this, I read a little bit more on what I am, and guys, it always freaks me out when I read them. It's like, this is freaking insane. And I'm not going to say anything. I really want to. I really want to like talk about like, ooh, this, and this. Anyway.
All right. So let me do my party trick, I guess. So just ask a few questions so I can. All right. It's usually better when I actually see people and meet them. Okay. Do you make lists when you have to make a decision?
No.
And Andy?
Sometimes. Definitely in my head, I know everything.
There's no way. A list. Never even heard of that before.
All right. At your desk, and I think I got the answer just from seeing the background for Stevie, but your desk, is it cluttered or is it everything in its right place?
Cluttered.
Okay. Andy?
Everything in its place.
Okay. All right. If you had to learn about world building, would you go check out a textbook or would you read 6 fantasy novels?
Guess which one I am.
Oh, I don't know. I think you would read a novel. You would read the textbook, I think, actually.
I would actually read the novels.
Really?
I actually use Brandon Sanderson a lot whenever I write. I like to listen to his worlds. But I don't see anything wrong with the textbook. I just Andy actually is known for going to like look at textbooks. In fact, I think you're reading one right now, Andy, right? You're studying, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's
not right now.
Yeah, not right now. He's like, whoa, what'd you say?
It's a military history on war.
Oh, okay. I thought it was actually a world building one, and I was like, I have that textbook. It's amazing. So,
I do have one by Orson Scott Card that I've read a couple times.
Well, it's interesting, but with the mention you said you like the self-help stuff, I would almost put the self-help into like the big top down rather than bottom up. But
I actually got into self-help after I got my personality type. So, and I'll talk about that a little bit more. Well, if we have time.
Okay. All right. Andy, at the party, are you in the corner with your back to the corner, or are you in the middle of the room?
It depends on who's there and what's happening. I can be both at any given time.
Yes. All right. They're one of those. It's very difficult when you don't. I could be either. Yes. All right.
I'm probably half naked in the middle of the dance floor.
All right. Let's see. Andy, I'm less sure about you. So is it INTJ?
So close. It's ENTJ. And that's the weird thing.
ENTJ. Damn it.
That's the weird thing.
Yeah, that's the hard part.
When I got that personality type, it's called the commander, which is definitely the commander is they are stubborn, which is me to a T. They are impatient, which unfortunately is me. They are efficient and energetic and self-confident and strategic. These are all, but then this characteristic, this extroversion was so weird for me to find out that I'm extroverted. But because the truth is, most of the time I hate being around people. I will go to my room to recharge, or in my office or whatever. But at the same time, I do need to be around people. I need to socialize, to not necessarily to recharge, but to feel like content. So it's sort of a strange one.
I was close. I was a little. Yeah, that party question would have helped out a lot. All right, Stevie.
Yeah.
Ta-da.
I think you got me.
ENFP?
Whoa, that's me. You got me. Yep, I am the champion, inspirer, and charmer. charismatic, intelligent, great listener, unpredictable, risk-taking, amazing sex partner. No, I'm kidding. Passionate and seductive. That part's real. Man, I knew you knew me. I knew it. And I love how you had it written down before you actually gave us the questions. And I actually thought Andy was going to be an INTJ as well, but I also know that he's very outgoing when he goes to cons and stuff. So that's...
Well, yeah, and just because you do one doesn't mean you can't do the other. I am extremely an introvert, but that doesn't mean, you know, you learn how to do the other things.
Yeah.
You know, my desk is very messy, which is why I'm really good at spreadsheets, because you learn to, you know, I don't want to say overcome your limitations, because they're not limitations, because you learn to, you know, overcome them. But, you know, like, oh, I'm messy, so I need to create these things for myself to get over that. Yeah. So, yeah.
So what's your personality type?
Oh, I'm an INFP.
Which is?
It used to be called the healer. I don't remember what they've renamed it. I've been doing this for 20 years. So you're looking it up, it looks like?
The mediator.
Mediator. There you go.
And what are you? INFJ?
Me? ENTJ.
ENTJ. And what were you, Matt?
INFP.
INFP. Okay.
You are an idealist, Matt.
Yes, that sounds right. Which is interesting too. I think a lot of writers are in, and it's just my own personal thing. But I would like to see Myers-Briggs for many of the writers out there.
Yeah. The one that I really that really was very clear to me was the decision making one. The one where basically I have to figure everything out. Like you can see it in my characters that I write. The characters, they don't just make spur of the moment decisions, or when they do, maybe it feels a little bit weird. But my characters will literally talk themselves through the process of making an emotional based decision to sort of rationalize the emotions, that I understand why my character is doing what they're doing, you know? and when that one came up, I was like, oh, that's totally me. I believe it's a T. The thinking instead of feeling.
It's yes. I mean, that would be the logical way to do it. It would actually probably be a J trait of it's decided. Okay. We know what it is. You know, instead, you know, a P would like actually, it is pretty P-ish actually. Of we need to examine it and put off making a decision. But yeah, the J prefers structure to a thought process rather than kind of free flowing. I had a friend who's like the most, actually he's an ENFP, and he says he cannot, when the waiter said, basically he doesn't pick his food until the waiter says, "And you, sir?" And he goes, "I'll go last." And he's on there, he can't make a decision. Like, and you're like, "That, just pick that at his point. That's what it is now." So yeah, assume that's the exact opposite of what you would be.
Yeah, definitely. Well, you know, there are times that I do that when they're like nothing looks great on the menu, but for the most part, before I go to a restaurant, I already kind of know what I want.
All right.
I think that's super cool how close you got with Andy, and that you actually got mine. I think that's super cool. Are we still doing the reading today?
If you don't mind.
I mean, we've got 10 minutes. Let's do it. Oh,
let's do it.
This is a make your own adventure, right?
Yes.
I love those.
It's for the guild. So we have put together a sampler. First of all, I hate hearing my own words read. I despise it. So I have avoided this. So this was the perfect example. So our guild, we've put together a sample of every member, you know, so we have 10 stories, but the idea is to try to get audiences to the story that they'll enjoy the most. And so we kind of put together a little personality test to spit people out to which of the books they might like. You know, so kind of want to see how it goes.
That's a really cool idea.
So I think we should try it out and see where you go.
What email was that in? I'm looking at the media kit.
As usual, Stevie, it's the PDF right next to it.
Oh, I downloaded that as well. Oh, it's not just the pictures. Okay. And we are reading the introduction.
Yes, we start at prologue, and then actually I've never looked at the PDF version of this.
We'll just start with the introduction, where it says a bitter wind blows through the land. Tell you what, Steve, yes. I'll do the narrative, and you can read the voices and then make the decisions, okay?
Okay. Sounds good.
Our adventures would go so opposite.
Yes.
All right. A bitter wind blows through the land. Some say it is but an early onset of autumn, yet others whisper of ill omens rising in the east. The winds whipping raiders through the kingdom like so many scattered leaves. Once allies against the otherworldly armies of the Inkle, the kingdoms of Glathalos and Baswin lately accused the other of inciting unrest within their borders and aiding the inhuman creatures, stalking their citizens in the night. Trade has all but disappeared, provisions hoarded, and neighbor eyeing neighbor as a potential competitor or worse still, enemy. I can totally recognize the hand of some of the people in the Grim Darklings group with me. This is totally right up their alley. Only the courageous few, some saints intent on alleviating the anguish of the lands, others villains intent on squeezing every last drop of profit, brave the highways which once overflowed with bounty. Tough times fall on all alike, and although coming from a good family in Baswin, you find yourself destitute in the heart of Glathalos with naught but your blade wits and a rumbling gut to keep you company. Hearing of a caravan carrying a great prize back to Baswin, you quickly sign on, only to discover it does not head anywhere close to home, rather wending its way to an outpost on the borders of the Inkle wastelands, still crawling within human beast. What's more, your caravan consists of only 6 wagons and far more guards than seems necessary for such a small haul. While there are those that say every grain of barley counts, this number of wagons seems entirely insufficient to stem the ugly tides washing the last bastion of humanity away. Yet, you gladly take the job, giving your word as bond, for what that's worth. 3 days on now, but with scant sleep, snuck when not trudging beside the unceasing wagons, your troop comes across the Gustkov woods. Cursed before the nameless gods died out eons ago, this forest chokes out all light before it even brushes the cobbled path no human hand laid. This is the home of brigands and boggarts, your fingers deepening the indentations to your blade's grip as you clutch it close.
Get on then, Tenderfoot.
The least appropriate accent ever, courtesy of Stevie Collier.
Wait, what's wrong with that? Who is this guy?
How many like Tennesseans and Texans have you read in grim dark fantasy, Stevie?
I tried to do something gruff and mountain manish. I'm sorry,
That's
it's
awesome.
not up.
I think it was wonderful. And it kept it. I kept the time period and everything, and even gender of the protagonists unsaid. So if he wants to be Tennessean,
thank you, Matt. I'm now Tennessean.
All right. That was said by by Rents, the one-eyed captain of the mercenaries. Although Rents appeared friendly enough when he invited you to join his crew, as you push into the woods far ahead of the rest of the caravan, you now suspect your employment consists entirely as fodder to keep the rest of Rents' band safe. The scent of blood assails your nostrils long before you catch sight of the crumpled form on the side of the road. Although you don't come across dead bodies often, something about this seems off, staged almost. Displayed at an unnatural angle, discerning if it is a large animal or a small human proves difficult. Fortunately for you, his weak gasp clears up all doubt.
Help, please.
All right, Stevie, do you, 1, rush to his aid immediately.
Hell no.
2, scan the wood for bandits. 3, sneak back to the caravan and see what Rents keeps hidden in that wagon.
I'm going to say 2. I think that'd be smart.
Scan the woods for bandits. Oh, I got to click on the link now.
Yes. Oh, that is so cool. I love it. If you're not if you're listening to this, if you click on the link, it actually goes directly to whatever you decided on. It's so cool.
This is only digital, so we figured we'd try to actually use the medium to do it. So yeah, instead of putting page numbers, it just click and it I'm surprised Choose Your Own Adventure has not popped back after digital that hand devices and stuff.
I used to do it with Goosebumps all the time, so that was so much fun as a kid. Okay, the title's Bandits.
Sorry. Just a second. I got knocked off course.
No problem.
Okay. Computers, right?
Yeah. I don't even have it open, so you're way ahead of me.
Oh, wow.
All right. Number 2, scan the wood for bandits. The wood's gloom may have hidden them to the untrained eye, but Rents was all kinds of wrong when he labeled you a tenderfoot. The signs are slight but unmistakable. Disturbed rocks, a brush too still and not swaying, the glint of an unsheathed knife. Too near the boat, moaning body to make it back to the cover of the caravan. Your hand the lights on your hilt.
Which one of those miserable louts gave us away? If it was you, Yon, I'll cut off your other ear to teach you a lesson.
Despite the threat of her words, Stevie.
Oops.
The woman emerges from the brush with a smile that would brighten the darkest of taverns. Her smile cannot hide the harshness of her eyes or the naked hatchet in her hand. 4 more men appear at her flanks, evenly spaced, which leads you to suspect they are well trained, and that at least twice that number more are still interspersed among the scrub. What's worse, they bear the lavender sash tied in the style of the Glathlos Royal Guard. Known as warriors without peers whose ability are only matched by their slavish devotion to honor, you suspect these brigand sashes are meant as a bluff. But you have been wrong before, as you look from the hard-eyed woman to the wounded man at your feet. Stevie, do you drag the wounded man to safety, run for your life, or challenge their leader to a duel?
I feel like the wounded man was a ploy to get me to do something, or, it was like to trick me, if I'm picturing it in my head right. Oh gosh, they're brave. I'm gonna say run for your life, because even if I challenge them to a duel, I feel like they're not going to cooperate.
See, I would have challenged them to a duel. That would have been my choice.
But you're heroic.
No, heroic would have been dragging the wounded man to safety.
Yeah, but I'm a smart man.
All right. Leaving the wounded man to his bloody end, you wisely turn tail and run. Tacking left and right on your path to avoid any arrows your way, you race back toward the safety of the caravan. But not 20 steps in, the ground explodes inches before you.
Whoa!
Ears ringing and eyes watering, you're unsure if this explosion came from sorcery or human hand. But you don't wait to find out, and you shift course and storm into the woods. The darkness envelops you instantly, and in your addled state, you quickly lose your bearings. So much so you don't know if you're north or south when you stumble upon the clearing containing the cannon. The boom of the cruel machine seems to have disoriented the operator as to your presence, the brute behind the device laughing maniacally as he adjusts his aim toward your caravan. With only scant seconds left, you glean the mechanism's design. It would be so easy to turn it away from the caravan towards the brigands. But then again, they won't be looking for you when they're picking through all that loot. And that operator is mighty fearsome.
That's
where we're going to stop now, because we don't want Stevie to ruin the surprise for you guys. So where can people find this?
No.
I kind of want to know. Actually, I think that's all right. Just don't. He can say which one. I want to know what he does.
Okay.
We can just not tell the audience since they're not visually seeing it.
All right.
I'm going to turn the cannon towards the brigands.
Yeah, I would have done the same thing.
Yeah.
I thought that's okay. Interesting. So, anyways, and those who are listening, it spits you out to one of our samples that I think fits that pseudo half-ass personality type.
That is so cool.
Yeah, and so if you can read the synopsis and is that, you don't have to read, but the goal is to match people with the books they'll enjoy the most.
Very cool.
That is, I love it. That is such a great idea. Okay, and like Andy said, Matt, where can they find you? Where can your new people find you?
That would be at sigilindependent.com, SIGIL independent. I'm not good at spelling, so sigil is the important part, I guess. And and it's free to download there. It's on Insta-free. Just go visit our website, see the amazing authors that we have, and get a free 500-page sampler, and meet some amazing writers.
Awesome.
I love the website. It is so cool.
Thank you. I designed that, and I'm very proud. So
what did you use for it, by the way?
Oh, Wix.
Wix. I'm thinking about doing Wix, man.
Actually, one of my guild members, before we even considered it, was the one who walked me through Wix the first time. Like, what's an SEO? And
what's an SEO?
Actually, I used to write SEO back in the day, but so I knew that one. But he, if you right click, you're like, right click, amazing. So I've come a long way since then.
So cool. So that's where to find him, guys. And again, he is the author of the Soul Hunter series. Did I say that right? Soul Hunter series?
Soul's Harvest and
Soul's Harvest series.
Check that one out, please.
Awesome. And oh man, I love the book cover of the second book too, to the Soul's Harvest. I thought it was like a switchblade for shaving at first.
Yeah, I know. Like the author is amazing. Emmett Dude, I'm probably murdering his name. Emmett Dude is amazing. So highly recommend him.
Well, awesome. So Andy, who are we having next week? Do you have it off the top of your head?
Yeah, we've got Michael Baker coming on. Michael is a friend from across the pond, and we are going to be talking about manipulation.
Ooh, something again. I've never manipulated anybody. So Andy, you may have. Us ENFPs, we don't do stuff like that. No, but actually, I have a lot of manipulation in my book, so that'll be a really cool topic.
Yeah, we're going to be looking at some of the different tools that are used to manipulate people. You know, I mean, lying is obviously the easiest one, easiest one. But there are so many different things that you can use to sort of trick people or convince them to do what you want. So it's going to be an interesting discussion.
Awesome. Super excited for that. Matt, hey, thanks a lot for coming on, man. Again, that is MD Presley, guys. MD Presley, check him out. We've had a great time talking with you, Matt. So again, please smash that like button. That helps us out so much. If you're listening, please leave us a review on iTunes. You would make our day. Again, we love you all so much. Have a wonderful evening or day if you're listening to this at another time. And we will see you next week for another fantastical, sexy episode of the Fantasy Fiends podcast.
Another ending ruined by Stevie. Have a good night, guys.
Yeah.